There are a lot of types of climbing, but we are just going to take the most important of them, starting with the mountaineering. This style consists of reaching the top of a mountain that is not really steep. The really complicated thing is to face the climatic changes, the pressure of hail, avalanches, glaciers, among others. Trad climbing. Traditional climbing is for many one of the purest climbs. This is because everyone puts insurance on the mountain. Clearly, this type of climbing is in rock or in completely natural spaces, where man does not intervene, using cracks, holes, rocks, deformation, etc. to be able to complete the challenge. Sport climbing. In this type of climbing, competition enters directly. In this style, you can climb both, in artificial space and in natural space. Security is important to avoid any misfortune. It practically consists of reaching the top in less time possible. Bouldering. The difference between this and the others is that, in this case, is applied in small blocks with a very high degree of difficulty. This allows to climb without much protection and thus be lighter and more mobile. Top rope climbing. It is one of the safest ways to climb, since the rope that is tied to your harness reaches up the mountain or the block you're trying to climb and goes back down to your companion that holds it. When you fall, the rope holds you immediately and prevents you from suffering blows in the fall. Free solo. This is obviously the purest and most complicated climb that exists. It's about climbing without any protection. Therefore, any mistake, any slip, or any distraction is deadly. In this style, many climbers have died, and there are others who have uploaded to history of this sport, such as Alex Honnold. Base climbing. This way of climbing is for many the most fun. It consists of climbing without any protection, but unlike the free, only is that here you have a parachute pod. Then the risk decreases a high level.
The history of rock climbing. There is no exact date of when the rock climbing started, but it began to be developed in the 1950s in the mecca of rock climbing, a place called Yosemite. Golden age of Yosemite started with John Salater, the first king of Yosemite and the mentor of all the climbers such as Royal Robbins and Warren Harding. He showed them the way to climb and the equipment required. Camp 4 is the main base of climbers until today. Royal Robbins was the first man to make an important ascent in one of the biggest rocks in Yosemite, the north face of Haltom, a monolith of 2,000 feet tall. He took them 5 days to get to the top, with a slowly climbing, putting one python between another. Then Warren Harding came, the arch rival of Royal Robbins. He tried the first ascent to El Capitan, the biggest wall in Yosemite Valley, with 3,000 feet tall. He made the route called the Nose. He tried for 2 years until he achieved it. It was the biggest route ever climbed in Yosemite Valley. It took too long because he used fixed ropes to go to the top and down. So he took them 2 years because he go down to have a party, and then the next day he go to climb again. In that moment, Royal Robbins realized that the one who make the best moves is gonna win. So he tried the same route, making in one push in a week, so he was going to be at the top again. Both of them want to leave their mark in the Yosemite Valley, and they did. In 1870 came the last fight between them, when Warren Harding tried for the first ascent to the down wall, the part that illuminates first in the Capitan, something that seems impossible to everyone, especially for Royal Robbins. Warren Harding tried with his partner, Dean Cowell. They expected to do it in 12 days, but he spent 28 days. In that time, it was the biggest award in rock climbing that ever has been done. After that, rock climbing became very famous, and the rival between Royal Robbins and Warren Harding was finished. It was then when the Stone Masters came to the Yosemite Valley. a new group of climbers, led by Jim Bridwell, with some climbers including John Largo, Airedale, Dale Fieldman, Ron Cahook, John Backert, and Lynn Hill. They proposed to leave their marks in the Yosemite Valley. They climbed the route El Nose in one day, a new mark in rock climbing. Create a new style of climbing called free climb, a very physical style where climbers hung directly by their fingertips. They become dynamite athletes. The Stone Masters become famous, and then John Backert made the first ascent to have them in the climbing that changed everything, the free solo. John Backert started the free solo, no margin for error, only you and the rock, becoming one. Then the Stone Masters became to fight for egos, and it was when the Stone Masters finally break up and the age of the Stone Masters have ended. Then Lynn Hill came again and tried for the first time in history free climbing El Capitan. A girl climbing El Capitan was impossible. Then the Stone Monkeys came to the Yosemite Valley, led by Dean Potter, a badass guy who break up all the records in the Yosemite Valley, climbing in one day two of the most iconic walls in the Yosemite Valley, Half Dome and El Capitan. He also climbed El Capitan in only 2 hours and a half, and doing slackline at 100 feet high. However, it doesn't take too long until Alex Honnold came to the valley and break down all those records of Dean Potter, climbing the 3 most iconic rocks in Yosemite Valley, El Capitan, Half Dome, and adding to the route another rock that was in the Yosemite. He also was the first one to free climb El Capitan in history. The other rock that he climbed in 18 hours to break down the record of Dean Potter was the Mount Watkins. Alex Honnold is now the king of Yosemite Valley.
To talk about the main muscles that are used in climbing, climbing involves a large number of movements, which means that many parts of the body are used. We've all had stiffness in areas we did not expect, but are we really aware of what muscles we use while climbing? Main musculature related to motorized gripping actions. Function: to grasp with the fingers of the hand, spray grabs of the rock or the climbing wall, ceiling, wall. Using the distal phalanges, those of the yokes, and the medial ones, the following one to those of the yokes. Hold part of the body weight. 2. Main musculature related to the drive and blocking drive actions. Function: traction, to raise being hung with the stretched arms, the weight of the body, approaching the chest to the hands. Blocking, keep the body still in one of the phases, specific angle of flexion of elbows, of the traction. Main musculature related to core drive actions. Function: connect the muscular actions of the upper train and the lower train, transmit the strength of our hands to our feet or vice versa, keep the body firm and still to free the limbs and be able to progress through the wall.
Because then you just get out of the body position and your feet can just slip anytime.